Hey everybody, Gerda Mala here, clinical psychologist, private practice success, business coach and mentor, but most importantly, of course, your Elevate 2020 host, and welcome to this live stream. Now, before I get stuck into the juicy content, I always like to check on my laptop that I am actually live on the right page, because once you've gone live on the wrong page and or in the wrong group, it's like you always wonder, hey Joanna, how are you going? Hope you're well. Let's just refresh this. I've got my laptop down here to make sure I'm on the right page, not the wrong one, the right one. Let's have a look. There I am. Okay, everybody can relax. We are on Elevate 2020 on this page. My lovely PA Abby will be sharing this into my Facebook groups, because I would love to have as many of you live here with me as possible. Of course, I know that is not always possible because you guys are working and some of you still do clinical work and you're in sessions with clients. So if you are watching the replay, please comment below with hashtag replay. That way I get a notification to say that you've watched it, and I can actually come in and answer any questions you might have, or if there's any thoughts that you want to share with me, then I can actually come back and read it. So that would be really awesome. Now, as we wait for the lovely Abby to share that into the groups, and before I get stuck into the topic for today, which is a very, very important topic, okay? I cannot tell you how important this is. Just a reminder that the early bird tickets to Elevate 2020 ends midnight on the last day of March, okay? You've been warned. Joanna, I believe you do have your ticket, so you're good. I often have people, what they do is they think, oh, I've got lots of time, and what happens? On the day you get too busy and you miss the deadline, and I hate getting emails from people a day after early bird ends to tell me they missed it, and can't I please make an exception? And I would love to, but I can't, because then I need to do it for everybody. So do not delay. If you know that you're going to buy a ticket, just buy the darn thing today and get it done with, and make sure that you lock in your early bird rate. Okay, so the topic for today is the one thing you need in order to start, build, expand, and scale your private practice, or any business for that matter. And you might be thinking, well, how can it be one thing? And Gerda, is it the same thing for all those stages of your private practice development? And the answer is yes. Okay, yes, and that just emphasizes how important it is to get this one thing right. Okay, and of course, we're going to be talking about this in so much more detail. Not only me, I actually have two other speakers that's going to be speaking about a similar topic area, because this is so important at Elevate 2020. So just to refresh your memory, at Elevate 2020, we're going to take all the attendees through those four areas required to really build a long-term sustainable private practice, which is foundations. And what I'm going to talk about today falls within the foundations segment. So day one, the first half of day one, we're talking foundations. Then we're going to move into fighting fear. That is stepping out of that scarcity mindset into abundance and really owning who you are as a business owner, as your inner CEO. Then we're going to move into frameworks on day two, first half of day two, and then we're going to move into freedom on the second part of day two. So today's topic that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, that has played such an important role in the building and expansion and scaling of my own two group private practices, and of course also the brand Gerda Mala, which is known as Private Practice Success Australia. This has played an important, very, very important role in me being able to achieve what it is that I've achieved for my business. And I look forward to sharing that with you guys. Alrighty, I'm just quickly checking the comments. There we go. All right, so I'm going to share with you what the one thing is, but I'm going to I want to give you context, because when I just say what it is, I know that a lot of people just switch off to it. How do I know that? Because I've seen it happen. People have told me they do it, and I have done it myself, okay? I have done it myself. I have been in workshops and listened to trainings and stuff, and I hear it, and then I just go, oh yeah, I've got that covered, but I don't really have it covered. You think you do, but you don't, because you haven't really invested proper time and emotional energy to get the mental clarity to get clear on what this is. So what am I talking about? And I've got so much to share with you. It's like my brain is going everywhere, right? So what is the one thing that you need in order to start, build, expand, and scale your private practice? And that is your why, knowing why you are doing it, because the foundations of your practice is going to be built on this. You need to know your why, and you need to be able to put that into the vision that you have for your future. Now, a lot of people hear these words and they go, oh yeah, that's just boring lingo, or yeah, I know my why, I want to work for myself, I want to do my own thing, oh, I want to help people, but it's like, yep, I get all of those, and I said that for a very, very long time. But until I actually became 100% honest with myself and clear with myself as to why I do what I do, it just wasn't the same. Because your why and your vision impacts so many parts of your business. But the most important part is it impacts you, okay? Because you can have the best vision, you can have a clear pathway set out in your mission, set out in your 5, your 10, your 20-year strategic plan, your 12-month goals, whatever it is that you've planned. But unless it starts in here, unless you know your internal why for you as a human being, it becomes very hard to stick to that let's say business pathway that you've set for yourself, especially in situations where the shit hits the fan, okay, and where things go wrong, or where you are just totally exhausted and you're asking yourself, I truly don't know why I'm doing all of this, or it's just too much, I can't anymore. All the vision stuff is not going to help you until you are able to come back to your personal why, your personal purpose, meaning, and all of that type of stuff, right? Hey, Stacey, thanks for joining us here. All right. So it is my hope that you guys don't switch off as I go through this with you, and trust the process, that we're going to talk through it. You're going to get clear on why this is important. Well, I've just given you a really great example already, but it is really important not to switch off and to truly sit with this part, because this is a very essential part of your business foundation. And it's very easy to skip over it because there's no checkbox for it. It's not one of these little checkbox items of starting a business, or even of expanding a business, or growing a business, or scaling a business, right? But it should be on your checklist. If it's not on there, I am putting it on there today, because that is how important it is. So if I think of myself, like I said, for a long time, I just skimmed over it. It's like, yeah, I know what it is. And I skimmed over it for a long time. But it all changed for me back in 2014. And that is now 6 years ago, right? So I started working with my very first business coach, Nathan McDonald, who helped me with my actual physical practice. So I started working with Nathan in 2012, which was such a hard year of change. 2013, 2014, and 2015. So I worked with him for 4 years. So in 2014, things were chugging along nicely. I had gone through those initial really tough stages of change management within my practice, really stepping into being more than just a business owner who's the hardest worker in the practice, but into the CEO that can think strategically, that can build a good culture and can, do all of that businessy CEO stuff, which is awesome. But I started to look at other stuff, of course, that was happening on social media. I mean, we're talking 2014. Social media was already existing there, but it wasn't as full on as right now. At that point in time, I also had not worked with any other mentor. I had not worked with any person that does online training or coaching and stuff. So all the work that I did with Nathan was in person. He would come in every Thursday to meet with me at the practice from 9 to 11. Was the two hardest, toughest, most emotionally draining, but at the end of the day, most life-changing hours a week that I did for a number of years with him. So it was all in person, building, restructuring, sculpting, creating the practice of my dreams, basically, right? That I wanted. And then in 2014, I hate to admit it, but that was the year I turned the big 40. Okay. And I thought to myself, hey, I'm turning 40 this year, so I'm going to spoil myself. And I was going through Facebook and all of that stuff. I'd only been on Facebook for a year. I think I only opened my Facebook account in 2013. I was a bit of a late adopter. Can you believe it? To Facebook. You would never think it, right? But I was. Most of my friends were on Facebook already by the time I got onto it. And I clearly remember the day I opened up a Facebook account, I was sitting next to the netball court with my best friend at the time. And she just said, Gerda, you opening up a Facebook account, right? And so it happened. So in 2014, just getting used to Facebook, all of that stuff. And this one person kept on popping into my newsfeed, the lovely Nicola Moraz. And in those days, and really I still call her that, she was known as Nicola Kick More Ass Moraz, right? And I will always think of her in that way. But Nicola was running this event in Melbourne in October 2014. My birthday was in May. So I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna gift myself a trip to Melbourne because I'm turning the big 40. I'm not one for big parties and stuff like that. And, I love my business. I love my practice. I love professional development. So I'm going to go there, check it out, just go buy my own sim, have a couple of days just to myself, go a day early, come back a day late, and just soak up and learn from Nicola, because the stuff that I was seeing on social media was impressing me, right? And had never met her before. So I hopped on a call with her dad, the lovely Carl. He was, doing the sales for the event, spoke to him, and in, his fabulous fashion, the two of us had a conversation, and he offered me the VIP ticket. So the VIP ticket was like, I think 2 days at the conference, at the event, but then also you had this special limo ride that happened on the Friday night, which was basically with Nicola's inner circle of people, of clients, private mentoring clients at the time. And I went, hell yes, I'm in. And even though it was pretty expensive for me at that point in time, because I had invested so much money, into building my practice and just changing stuff up and all of those things, I went, I am a VIP and I'm paying this money because I do not make decisions based on how much something costs. I make decisions based on value, and I value myself. This was my present to myself, and I booked my ticket, booked the VIP thing, and off I went to Melbourne, right? Hang on. So it was so interesting, this event, when I look back at it now. So of course I arrived there, get ready for the evening, and you need to remember that here I, an introvert, very much an introvert, was going to an event with no one that I knew. I didn't know any other person going. And I had put my hand up to do the VIP ticket, okay, and go on this limo ride with Nicola and her inner circle. Now, you know, your inner circle of clients, so I've got my own inner circle these days, had one for the last 4 years. Those are clients that you work with very closely, very intimately. It's like it's your best friend, right? But it's a business relationship, but you can't help but becoming friends as well. Friendships that last beyond the time that they're in your inner circle. So this was a bunch of ladies that was close to one another, knew one another, everything. I'd also never before met Nicola. And here I am, little old introvert me, flying down from Brisbane, going to this VIP event. You know what? Thinking back, I think I was so flipping brave to do that. I'm pretty chuffed with myself. I'm pretty impressed with myself. And the lesson here is this, people. You need to step outside of your comfort zone. Because, you know, I've got so many, what's the word? Pivot periods in my journey, and this was one of them. All right, the first one was the day I went and I attended the workshop that Nathan ran, and I then signed on to become a client of his. Major changes in my physical practice. And then the second pivot towards me into more online stuff, stepping into that Guatemala brand was, which is the freedom part, of course, of the 4 F's of having a fabulous private practice. To step into that freedom space, that space of scaling, of working one to many, of having a greater ripple effect in terms of helping people, that was the pivot for it. And that pivot only happened because I put up my hand and said, you know what? Yes, I'm going to invest this money into myself. I'm going to risk going to an event with people I've never met before, going and listening to somebody I've never met, right? Yes, I've seen stuff on Facebook, never met them in person, but trusting that that I'm worth the risk. I am worth the risk to invest this money and time. Remember, I've got young children, and Ethan was only like 3 years old at the time, right? But I'm worth this investment, and I'm willing to risk it, because nothing good happens from just staying home and not risking something. We need to step out of our comfort zone. It's so important. So I went and I arrived for the limo ride, and it was just like surreal, okay? The way that group of women just accepted me, and from my recollection and my understanding, I was the only non-inner circle VIP member in that limo ride. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nicola, should you by accident be watching this live stream. But the way that group of people just took me in, right? Like, they didn't know who I was. I only started Private Practice Success Australia in 2016. This was 2014. I had no presence on social media. They didn't know, what I did, where I come from, nothing. There was total, unconditional, positive regard and acceptance just into that group. People talked to me. I felt like I knew these people my whole life. It was so easy. And sitting in that limo that night, I had this realization that this is the type of community that I want to create for myself, a bit selfish there, but also for every other private practice owner within Australia. Because I know firsthand how isolating it is in private practice. And I'm not going to stand for it anymore. It started then. I just knew that this is what I want to create. This is the community, and I have this today in my Private Practice Success for Allied Health Professionals Facebook group, where I want people to be coming into that group, irrespective of what discipline, irrespective of what type of qualification they have, what title is in front or qualifications is behind their name, how big their practice is, how much money they're making, what type of specializations they work in or expertise they have. Irrespective of that stuff, I want to create a community where people are accepted in that fashion. Yes, we can still challenge one another on differences of opinions and have robust discussions, but in a way that is 100% supportive and accepting. And I had that first realization that this is what my people, my industry, my fellow psychologists, and my fellow helping professionals need on that night. So that was such an important pivot for me. On that night, I also for the first time met the fabulous Joe Muirhead, who is going to be one of our Elevate 2020 speakers. And it's just so serendipitous, is that the word, of the people that you meet in your life and how they stick around, how they come in and out, and how together you go to that next level, right? Because of course, Nicola is also one of our speakers at Elevate 2020. So that was a truly amazing evening. And then I spent the next 2 days in this event with Nicola. And one of the many exercises she took us through was my ideal perfect life exercise. Now, I'm not sure if some of you might have heard of it, some of you might have dabbled in it, but again, it's one of those exercises where you go, this is a nice exercise to properly do with some of my clients, that maybe has depression and there's a lot of hopelessness, to create some optimism. But you know what? I truly believe each and every person in this life, irrespective of who you are, what you do, needs this. Okay, because this has been so important for me in keeping me inspired and keeping me on the path towards building my business. Okay, it has been so good. Hey Matt, thanks for joining and hopping on. So the exercise was my ideal perfect life. And as I said in the start of this live stream, right, you can have all the business vision and stuff, but you also need to have the personal vision. It's really hard if you only have the one. The two goes together, but it's easier to stay on the path for the business stuff if your personal vision for your life has been sorted, because you are first and foremost a human being. Okay, yes, you might be a psychologist, a business owner, whatever your title is, but first and foremost, you are a human being. And most of the people in my community are parents, which means your mums and your dads. Okay, and if you're not a parent, you're probably a brother and a sister, a friend, an uncle, an auntie, right? You're a human being first and foremost, and you need to know what your vision for your life is. And actually sitting and doing this exercise at that event has been life-changing, really, for me, right? And the interesting thing is this: I have subsequently revisited my ideal perfect life once a year. Every year I go back to it and go, okay, based on what it is I've gone through the last 12 months, where I am, what's happening in my life, do I need to adjust it, shift, change, that type of thing. And it's very interesting that for me, it's never really changed much. The only thing that I would add in is maybe more descriptive words as I got clearer and clearer on what that's going to look like, smell like, sound like, taste like, all of that type of stuff, so that I could really picture it. Because when things get tough in our lives, we need to know why it is that I'm doing this. Why am I starting this practice? Why am I actually going through this process of going, you know what? I've got a big wait list, I've built up a reputation, I'm taking the leap into group private practice ownership, or I'm starting a second location, or you know what, I now want to go one-to-many and I want to do online courses, speaking, write a book, do all of that type of stuff. You need to have something behind that drives you in order to be consistent in taking the action that you need to take, in order to be consistent in doing the things that is going to get you through the tough times. Because let's not fool ourselves. Running a business is not easy. There's going to be challenges every day. Doesn't matter how hard and long you plan and get all your ducks in the row, things are going to happen. Okay, that's just the nature of business that we need to expect and accept and roll with. You need to roll with that, and it's much more easier to roll with it if on the inside, the human being that is doing all the rolling with the punches, the problem solving and all of that stuff, when you've got your personal shit sorted, and when you know, personally, I am on the right track for what it is that me as a human being wants. Because you're going to retire one day, right? I would hope so. And hopefully you don't have to wait until you're 80 for you to retire. You want to retire and you want to get there. You want to have your ideal perfect life. Each and every one of us deserves that. So I thought what I might do is be brave today and share with you my ideal perfect life. I have previously shared this in 2 programs that I run. I have a time mastery program as well as a journaling for the mindset you've always wanted course, and I share this in both of those 2 programs with the people that's in there. But I thought I'm going to be brave and share it with you guys today here on a public live stream. I'll survive it. All right, so let me just open it here. So I'm going to read it to you. So the ideal perfect day, of course, needs to be as detailed as possible. So are you ready? Here we go. And my brain immediately thinks, please don't judge me. But I'm being brave. Here we go. All right, my ideal perfect day. I wake up at 7 a.m. feeling rested and energized. Wouldn't that be lovely, right? You're thinking when you have young kids. The sun is streaming into my room with warmth and promises of an awesome day to come. In the distance, I can hear the sound of waves breaking onto the white sandy beach. Hey, Natasha. The smell of fresh coffee makes me look to the left, and I notice an enticing flat white coffee next to my bed, which has been lovingly prepared by my housekeeper Gladys. I sit up and enjoy the coffee whilst checking my emails, Facebook, and LinkedIn notifications. I will always be working, people, because I love it. It's my passion. Next to me is my handsome husband of 20 years looking at me with love and validation. I get up, put on my running shoes and go for a 5-kilometer run on the wet sand. On return, I have a warm, refreshing shower and I get dressed for the day. I take myself out onto the deck overlooking the sparkling blue pool and have an amazingly healthy breakfast. I move to my home office with wide bay windows, letting in the smells and sounds of the ocean. I spend the next hour on a conference call with my group of inner circle practice owners from across Australia. Once completed, I open my purple MacBook to put the finishing touches to my latest #1 best-selling book, and upon pressing send to forward the final manuscript to my publisher, I enjoy a feeling of accomplishment. The next minute, the front doorbell rings. It is my personal Monsieur Robin, who is doing a special home visit. The smells of aromatherapy oils fills the room as she sets up for what will be a relaxing hour of energy work and healing. While still enjoying the healing caress of the oils and hot stones, I enjoy a refreshing cup of tea in my fluffy white dressing gown while seated on my comfortable couch. I look around and my eyes feast on a warm, colorful, modern, yet homely styled living room, able to make the most discerning business person or naughtiest grandchild feel welcome and at home. I'm slowly becoming aware of the smell coming from the kitchen as Gladys is preparing dinner. And that, people, is my ideal perfect day. And sometimes when I read it, I think, yeah, that's a very selfish ideal perfect day. And you know what? Who cares? Who cares? It is okay to be selfish. It is okay to want the stuff that you want, right? And to create the life that you want for yourself and for your family, okay? And I'm not sure whether you've noticed, if you've been following me on social media, you may have noticed that a lot of the stuff in my ideal perfect day, I have been able to achieve, okay? which is just mind-blowing. Just mind-blowing. You know, maybe you can say, well, it's taking you 6 years, Gerda, but you know what? 6 years in the scheme of things is a drop in the ocean. I actually feel immensely blessed that from the first time I wrote this out in 2014 to now being 2020, it's not even 6 years, because that would be October this year, that I've achieved so many things. I've moved to Agnes Water in January this year. I'm in a rental house at the moment, but we are building our dream house, the first house ever that we're building. It is going to be at the ocean. When we bought the land, the guy said, oh, you can get cheaper blocks, you know, up on the hill. And I said, no, in my books, in my ideal perfect day, but in my books, I'm only at the ocean if I can hear it. I want to hear the ocean. I want to smell the ocean. I want to see the ocean. And I said, no, I'm happy to pay more for a block that's closer to the ocean so that I can have those three things, because this is what I'm creating. I am worth having my ideal perfect day. And I'm slowly but surely creating that. I'm already getting up early in the morning. I go for my 5K runs here at the ocean, right? There's so many things that I'm already living, and it is such a motivation for myself to know, to look, you know, yes, it might not have been easy. There's been a lot of struggles along the way, but I've gotten through that, and I got to start having my ideal perfect day. I already feel so accomplished. And I think very often a big mistake we make is we consistently change the goalposts, or say, only once I've ticked all those things, then I can relax. It's like, no, I'm already like appreciating the fact that I am like at least a quarter of the way there, very close to halfway to what my ideal perfect day is like, right? And I still don't feel that I want to change it, because that's what I want. That there's nothing else I want. I want to be able to work. Okay, I said earlier you'll probably want to retire one day, but I don't see myself retiring, right? I will always want to be doing something. Again, that might change in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't know. But I love my work. I love my running. I love my coffee. I love being spoiled with massages and stuff. And that's my ideal perfect day. And you need to remember that whatever yours is, it's okay. We need to stop judging our own needs and desires and give yourself permission to have it. And also not judge other people's needs and desires and what they want. And you need to know this, because knowing what your ideal perfect day is helps, as I said earlier on, because your business is the vehicle towards achieving this. So these things are interlinked, right? When the business vehicle challenges you, this stuff drives you, like going, I know why I'm doing this, right? I'm not doing it for that asshole that's giving me a hard time, or for that person that's consistently, you know, full of resistance, or because of whatever. I'm doing it for me and for my family. This is why I'm doing it, right? And the business becomes the vehicle when you run your practice successfully and sustainably, that allows and supports you to have your ideal perfect life, which you deserve and which you are worthy of, right? Isn't that what we do? Don't we all try and better our lives so that our kids can be better off, so that they can have a head start in life, although they need to appreciate it, but so that they can be better off, so that each generation can be better off in your family, right? I don't know, that's just how I think about it. But the fact of the matter is, these two things go together. So you have to make the time, just like you need to sit and go, what is the business vision and how am I doing it? You need to know, what is the personal vision? How am I doing that? And these two needs to marry together. And of course, speaking about marriage, if you are married, or if you are in a long-term intimate relationship or partnership, the two of you need to talk about these things, right? So that you can be aligned and work together. And you need to ask yourself, what is my partner's ideal perfect day, or my husband's ideal perfect day? I don't know, my husband would probably say going fishing and restoring motorbikes the whole day, like spending his whole day in the garage doing motorbike repairs, or spending the whole day on the rocks fishing. That, I suspect that's his ideal perfect day, right? The last time I spoke to him about it. So, and it's about really getting on the same page and knowing what are we working towards, right? So ask yourself, have you had these discussions with your partner, with your husband, with your wife, in terms of this is what I'm working towards? Now, obviously my husband knows what mine is, right? He's on this journey with me. We made this decision together in terms of moving here, building the life that we want, and it makes it fun because you're now in this together. It makes the harder times easier to navigate, again, because you're in this together. And this is, again, such an important foundational what is not concept, but concept, yes, but activity that you need to undertake in order for you to stay on track with achieving whatever and however your ultimate private practice looks like. Alrighty, very important. Foundations, foundations, foundations. Hey Tani, thanks for joining and hopping on. Let me just go here and see and refresh my page. Alrighty. It is just taking its time. That's what happens when you live rurally. The internet is much slower than what you are used to. All right. There's no specific comments. It just looks like everybody has been attentively listening. So if you are watching the replay and you've watched it, please, share with me your thoughts and your comments and even your suggestions on this topic area. The foundations for your business is so important, not only business foundations, but these more personal stuff, because you can't take the human out of the business owner. You are the human first and foremost, and you need to look after this part of building your private practice and your dream and, whatever it is that you want to do. So if you do want to elevate your practice, doesn't matter what level you're at right now, there is always another level. Be sure to get your tickets to Elevate 2020. Go to the website, which is elevate2020.com.au. Early bird tickets expire or end, whatever's the word, the end of March. Can't wait to see you there. The lineup of speakers is just next level. It is amazing. It's going to be long days because we're getting as much into that program as possible. Do not miss this. I'm going to say that again. Do not miss this opportunity to elevate your mindset and your strategies, your practice, and therefore your life. I can't wait to see you elevate. We'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.